In 2013, Mark Zuckerberg flew to Los Angeles and offered Evan Spiegel $3 billion for Snapchat. Spiegel was 23 years old. Snapchat had no revenue, and he said no. 3 years later, Instagram launched Stories, a feature copied so directly from Snapchat that Instagram's own CEO did not bother denying it. Within months, Instagram Stories had more daily users than all of Snapchat. Facebook had done what it always does when it cannot buy a competitor, dismantled them feature by feature using its 2 billion user distribution machine. Snap stock crashed below the original acquisition price Spiegel had projected. The redesign in 2018 caused users to leave for the first time in company history. Rihanna publicly called the app trash. So was turning down $3 billion the gutsiest move in tech history, or the most expensive mistake? The answer is more complicated than either side wants to admit, and it starts with understanding who Evan Spiegel actually is. Evan Thomas Spiegel was born in 1990 in Los Angeles. His father and mother were both lawyers, Ivy League educated, successful, affluent. He grew up in Pacific Palisades, one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in California, with expensive cars, family vacations, and a large monthly allowance. He attended the Crossroads School for Arts and Sciences in Santa Monica, a private school whose alumni list reads like a Hollywood roll call. He took design classes at Otis College of Art and Design while still in high school, then Stanford, where he studied product design. At Stanford, he joined the Kappa Sigma fraternity, where he served as social chair, the person responsible for throwing parties. He was known for exactly that: loud, charismatic, comfortable in rooms full of people. He networked aggressively, getting meetings with Google's Eric Schmidt and Intuit's Scott Cook while still an undergraduate. In the fraternity, he met Bobby Murphy, a math and computational science student 2 years ahead of him, and Reggie Brown, an English major with an idea. Brown's idea was simple: an app that let you send photos that disappeared. He wished there was a way to send something and have it vanish. Spiegel seized on it. Murphy built it. In the summer of 2011, the three of them worked out of Spiegel's father's house in Pacific Palisades and launched an early version called Peekaboo. It got some traction. Then the infighting started. Spiegel and Murphy pushed Brown out of the company. Brown sued, claiming he was an instrumental co-founder and deserved equity. The case dragged on for 3 years before reaching an undisclosed settlement in 2014. The app had already been renamed Snapchat. Brown's name was quietly removed from the founding story. The ghost logo on the app icon turned out to be an apt symbol for more than one reason. Spiegel dropped out of Stanford a few weeks before graduation to run Snapchat full-time. By December 2012, users were sending 50 million snaps a day. By 2013, the app had 100 million daily active users. Then in 2014, emails Spiegel had written during his fraternity years were leaked to the press. They were bad, misogynistic, and homophobic. He wrote about getting women drunk, made degrading comments about sorority women, encouraged underage drinking. The emails circulated widely and generated significant backlash. Spiegel issued a statement: "I'm obviously mortified and embarrassed that my idiotic emails during my fraternity days were made public. I have no excuse. I'm sorry I wrote them at the time, and I was a jerk to have written them. They in no way reflect who I am today." The controversy faded. The company kept growing, but it established something important about Spiegel's public persona. He was not the polished, media-trained CEO that Silicon Valley tends to produce. He was raw, sometimes reckless, and willing to say what he thought in ways that occasionally came back to damage him. That same quality, the willingness to make a bold call without caring what everyone else thought, is also what led him to say no to $3 billion. Facebook had already tried to kill Snapchat the old-fashioned way. In 2012, it launched a clone called Poke. Poke disappeared faster than the photos it was designed to send. When the copycat failed, Zuckerberg moved on to his other preferred strategy: acquisition. He flew to LA and made Spiegel an offer reported at around $3 billion in cash. For context, Facebook had bought Instagram the year before for $1 billion, which had already shocked Silicon Valley. This was triple that, for a company generating essentially zero revenue. For Spiegel and Murphy, it was the exit of a lifetime, a golden ticket to the billionaires club before either had turned 25. They said no. From the outside, it looked like arrogance. From Spiegel's perspective, it was a bet on his own vision. He believed $3 billion was just the starting price. He believed Snapchat was not a feature, but a fundamentally new way of communicating. Selling to Facebook meant watching it absorbed into the Blue app and losing everything that made it different. He had also watched what happened to other founders who sold. He wanted independence. He chose the harder path. For almost 3 years after the rejection, Snapchat kept growing and Facebook kept watching. Then in August 2016, Instagram launched Stories. It was not inspired by Snapchat, it was Snapchat. The same concept, the same 24-hour lifespan, the same name. Instagram CEO Kevin Systrom acknowledged the influence openly without much apparent embarrassment. Facebook then deployed its real weapon: distribution. Instagram already had hundreds of millions of users who were suddenly handed a good enough version of Snapchat baked into an app they already used every day. No new download, no separate friends list, no switching. Instagram Stories reached 500 million daily users within 2 years. Snapchat's peak at that time was around 200 million. Facebook had not beaten Snapchat by building something better. It had beaten them by giving something similar away for free to a vastly larger audience. Then WhatsApp status. Then Facebook Stories. Then TikTok, which ate the short-form video market entirely. Snapchat was being attacked from every direction simultaneously. Snap went public in March 2017 at a valuation of around $24 billion. For a moment, the $3 billion rejection seemed vindicated. It did not last. The company was hemorrhaging cash. Advertisers were not convinced the platform could deliver results at the scale Instagram and Facebook could. Then, in 2018, Spiegel approved a complete redesign of the app that mixed content from friends and publishers into a single feed, destroying the clean separation that made Snapchat feel personal. Users were furious. More than 1.2 million people signed a petition demanding the old design back. Rihanna publicly called it trash and said she could not find her friends anymore. Snap lost 3 million daily active users in a single quarter. The stock fell to around $5, well below the IPO price of $17 and well below the $3 billion acquisition offer Spiegel had rejected. The narrative had completely inverted. The 23-year-old who turned down Zuckerberg was now running a company worth less than what he had been offered, bleeding users and presiding over one of the most visible product failures in Silicon Valley history. Snap did not collapse. It adapted. Spiegel rolled back parts of the redesign, stabilized the user base, and made a decision that turned out to be strategically correct. He stopped trying to be Facebook and leaned entirely into what Snapchat was actually good at. He reframed the company as a camera company rather than a social network. And he went deep on augmented reality. The results are now undeniable. As of 2026, Snapchat's AR lenses are interacted with 8 billion times per day. There are over 4 million lenses built by more than 400,000 developers. 350 million users engage with AR features every single day. No competitor is close to that scale. The subscription business grew alongside it. Snapchat Plus launched in 2022 with a handful of extra features. By February 2026, it had crossed 25 million paying subscribers, generating over $1 billion in annualized direct revenue and growing 71% year over year. Full year 2025 revenue hit $5.93 billion, 11% growth year over year. Quarter 1 2026 revenue came in at $1.53 billion, up 12%. Daily active users as of Q1 2026, 483 million. Monthly active users, 956 million, closing in on 1 billion. It is not the dominant Spiegel envisioned in 2013, but it is a real, growing, profitable business that survived a war of attrition against the most powerful distribution machine in the history of consumer technology. Snap's long-term answer to the clone war is a gamble even bigger than the one Spiegel made in 2013. The company has been developing spectacles, genuine augmented reality glasses that overlay digital information and imagery onto the real world through transparent lenses. In his Q1 2026 earnings call, Spiegel said the company remains focused on specs and the long-term opportunity in intelligent eyewear, with more details expected at the Augmented World Expo in June 2026. The vision is to build the platform that comes after the smartphone. If the next computing interface is a pair of glasses rather than a screen in your pocket, and Snap owns that platform, then every painful year of the clone wars becomes the price of being positioned for what comes next. It is an expensive and uncertain bet. Meta is spending tens of billions on its own AR hardware. Apple has Vision Pro. Google invented the category with Glass in 2013 and failed once already. Snap is racing against three of the most well-capitalized technology companies on Earth. But this is the company's DNA. When facing an existential threat, the instinct is never to retreat. It is to take an even bigger swing. The boy from Pacific Palisades dropped out of Stanford weeks before graduation to run an app that made photos disappear. He said no to $3 billion at 23 with no revenue. He pushed out the friend who had the original idea and spent years fighting a lawsuit over it. He sent emails that would define a public scandal, and then he built one of the most resilient companies in the history of consumer technology. Was turning down $3 billion a mistake? From a market dominance standpoint, probably yes. Facebook took Snapchat's core innovation and built a much larger business with it. Snap got its independence but lost the war for the feed. But Snap still exists. It has 483 million daily users, nearly 1 billion monthly users, the most advanced consumer AR platform on Earth, and a founder who is still in the building making audacious bets on what comes next. Evan Spiegel is now 35. He has been running Snapchat for over a decade. He says the best days are still ahead. Whether that bet on AR glasses pays off is the most interesting open question in consumer technology right now. Drop it in the comments. If you were Spiegel in 2013, 23 years old, no revenue, $3 billion cash on the table, do you take it? Because I think the honest answer most people give in private is very different from what they say out loud. Subscribe to Stag Research for more breakdowns like this, the decisions, the founders, and the consequences that actually shaped the tech industry.